we are continuing the conversation, especially reflecting on Governor Sanwo-Olu's themes agenda and still focusing on the traffic and transportation component of that. Let's look at how best we can do enforcement for trucks and articulated vehicles in Lagos. And we're looking at it from the Vehicle Inspection Service perspective. And joining me right now to take us through that discourse is Engineer Akin George Fashola, who is the Director, Vehicle Inspection Service, Lagos. Nice to have you back in studio. Good morning.
Good morning, Victor. How are you?
Very good, very good. All right, the last time we had you here was during the post-lockdown, which was about two months ago, precisely around June.
Yeah,
between that time and now, a lot have happened. Talk to me. What's the latest with Vehicle Inspection Service in Lagos?
Well, we're trying to just make sure we follow our normal pattern and normal routine, but lately we see that those efforts are not yielding the kind of results that we want, so we're trying to re-strategize in terms of focusing more on the articulated trucks and trailers.
All right.
You will notice that we've had a raft of incidents lately, and
that's right.
We're trying possible best to see the best way forward in order to curtail all this menace that we have on our roads.
Right. A lot of times people do bring that question to us that, well, if indeed your men are working in terms of checking or perhaps inspecting these vehicles, we will not have some of these rickety articulated vehicles flying our routes. What would be your response to them?
Victor, everybody has their own ideology of how things should be done, but the people that actually do the work know what it takes to do it. We cannot operate in a vacuum. We have to rely on certain aspects of the public and ourselves to get the job done, and in compliance with the laws of Lagos State. It's not as easy as
a lot of people think.
Yes, it is not. But having said that, it is still a job that needs to be done, and we will do it audaciously.
All right. Well, let's look at that now. What are some of the challenges? What are the areas? What are the gray areas confronting you as it relates to enforcement of articulated vehicles?
One, Lagosians must recognize the fact that most of the trucks that operate within our own environment here in the state do not actually belong to the state. So they come from different places. That in itself is a challenge, because there's a law that says, once you obtain a roadworthiness certificate from any of the 36 states in the Federation, you are allowed to ply the road, which technically is true. But if I have to, and we have to take into account our own environment,
all right,
to see whether that certificate or that assertion meets our own criteria in terms of what we want to achieve as a state. And so you have to work within the limits of the law. Now, I can visually look at a truck and say, oh, this truck is rubbish. Doesn't meet any standards whatsoever. And, I'm going to stop it. But then you have to take the safety of the public into consideration and causing traffic. It is very difficult to stop a moving trailer. One, they don't always want to comply. And two, the safety of the men are in question.
That's right.
So we have to be strategic about how we enforce these laws. Now we are in collaboration with the port authorities to try and circumvent some of the things that go on with these trucks, and they have been assisting us as best as they can. And we will also mount our own operations at critical junctions or entry points into the state. Now, having said that, some of the requirements that we place on them is for you, if you want to operate within the shores of Lagos State. I'm not talking about another state.
All right.
Lagos State. You are required to take your vehicle to a Lagos State Computerized Vehicle Inspection Center.
Okay. Now, that's supposed to be the law, right?
It is the law.
And from the look of things, are these articulated vehicle owners, the truck operators, are they keen into this. What's the level of compliance with this?
Thank you. I'm going to put it into two parts. The fleet operators, I'm talking about the big companies that, invest heavily in this equipment.
Okay.
Do it. And some of them even have their own facility, which we
Call you up,
yeah,
go and inspect.
they have their own facility. The majority of the problems that we have with the one-man business, the one that has
those are all one truck,
two trucks, and part of the issue is that they give it out on contracts or whatever to a driver. Or, okay, just return a certain amount to me, like a hire purchase. He has no control over it, and as long as his money is coming in,
he's okay.
Yeah, the rest is water under the bridge.
Right.
So you tend to find them littered all over the place. It's not only with containers, it's with tippers, it's with tankers and the likes of them.
All right. So what are you doing in that regard to bring this kind of enforcement? At least these ones and the twos and the threes that are littered all over the place. Can't you pick them up?
Well, we are in consultation with the unions, who, by the way, are also not they're not happy with their operations, because most of the time they will tell you that they do not register with them, so they operate on their own.
Okay.
And so some of the things that we are trying to do now is to apprehend them or accost them at critical points that we know they have to ply.
Right.
Now that's a dangerous
scenario.
Yeah, that's a dangerous. But we will do what we need to do to get that done.
So let's talk about what you've done so far. So good now. So the enforcement has started. Is that correct?
Yes, the enforcement has been ongoing since the partial lockdown was eased up a couple of months ago.
Right.
And I can tell you up to date, we've arrested and impounded and sanctioned over 200 trailers.
200 trailers?
Yes, over 200 trailers.
So what happens when you pick these trailers up, when you impound them? Are they forfeited, or what happens? Are they is it just paying penalty? What happens?
Well, they pay the penalty.
Okay.
And the ones that we find critical, we don't let them leave our yard.
Okay, so it has to be fixed.
Yeah, it has to be fixed. But here's the problem. We only have so much space we can accommodate people for. And the ones that are in our yard have to leave the yard for other ones to come in. Victor, there are just so many of them because of the fact that Lagos is a critical port in the entire federation.
All right.
So the sheer numbers are just overwhelming, right? So you can't even imagine how many you can catch in one day.
Right. So if you pick up 200, you have another 300, 500 that are bringing infractions to the situation already. So more or less there are lots of constraints.
Yes. Notwithstanding though, the really bad ones. Our focus now is the really bad ones. We are just gonna bring the hammer down. Enough is enough. Some of the atrocities that they commit is just beyond reasoning. And
that's where I want to come to, because Engineer Fashola, let's reflect on this really, because if you have an articulated vehicle with a container, falling off and falling on another car and bringing fatality, what does that say about the operators that make use of that particular vehicle? I mean, it simply means that something is wrong with that articulated vehicle before even putting it on the road.
Well, we have to hold the operators accountable. Maybe if the fine goes up and we start crushing the vehicles and not just impounding them and then releasing them, maybe the message will ring through. When you take a vehicle and you crush it, and you take a vehicle or you arrest the owner and you make him accountable for that particular incident, maybe things will change. I think it's just it just goes to show that we need to be more assertive and audacious in how we deal with them.
All right. Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. I have engineer Akin George Fashola with me in the studios, and we're reflecting on enforcement of trucks and articulated vehicles in Lagos. We're looking at it from the perspective of the Vehicle Inspection Service. All right, I'll allow you to join the conversation very, very soon as well. But let's see, control room, you can help us keep an eye on some other locations. Papa Oshodi Expressway, what's happening there? Those are trying to make use of Antonio K, linking up with Bagada. What's the 411? But the last feed that we got, if you want to make use of the third Milan bridge, still appreciably okay. For those of you that are coming in from the mainland here, so if you're heading from Ikeja or coming from Ogba or precisely from Beja, trying to link up with the third Milan bridge, it's still appreciably good. For now, you have access to the road right now and stays like that all through to 12 noon. The return journey will be from 1 p.m. in the afternoon. So those of you who will be coming in from the island can now make use of the third Milan bridge by the time it's 1 p.m. So take note of that even as you navigate through some of those locations. Let's talk about some other things that you do. When you go for inspections of these articulated vehicles, what are the things that you look out for precisely?
Okay, we look at the critical aspects: the tires, the body, the lights,
the brake system.
The brake system. Now, let me tell you some of the things some of them are fond of doing.
What's that?
Now, an owner will go and buy a 15-ton head. That's the head, the one that pulls the load. It's rated for 15 tons. And they will go and modify it so that it can pull 30 to 60 tons. Those are the kind of things that they do. You have to really think and understand how that affects the whole vehicle.
That's already a recipe for disaster.
It is a recipe for disaster, because when a 15-ton head is pulling 30 to 60 tons, you have multiplied by a factor of at least 2 the kind of work it can do. It's like someone that is able to carry 25 kg. And now you want to start carrying 50 kg, but you haven't eaten since morning. No, that's the easiest thing I can associate with it. So you are going to fall over. You were having a hard time carrying the 25. Now you are graduating to 50, and you haven't eaten in the morning.
Yeah, but is it to say that they are not aware of this?
They are aware, of course they are aware, but it's a profit and margin issue. Is that
so he feels I can get away with it?
Yes,
and getting away with it means that you are endangering other people's lives. That's where you now find a breakdown on a critical point.
Yes, because that in itself affects the braking, affects the maneuverability of that vehicle. It is difficult to use a 15-ton puller to maneuver or brake a 30 to 60-ton load. You cannot imagine.
All right. So have you had any engagement with the operators yourself? Now I'm talking about the Vehicle Inspection Service.
We have engagements with them all the time. It's gone beyond engagement. I'm not interested in engagement anymore. Yeah, we do the engagement and we'll continue to do it. But now is the time for action. Enough of the engagement. It's not that they don't know. They know. If you ask their union members or their leaders, they know this, and they preach it to them all the time. But some of them just refuse because maybe they feel they have a bigger head than everybody else. Right. I don't understand.
So let's talk about the LACV centers, the computerized centers that can make them fully aware of the deficiencies in those vehicles.
Do you have enough of them? Yes, the LACVs. Currently, we have 17 LACV centers, and they are enough for now to cover the main areas that they operate in. So it's just a matter of them taking their vehicles there. But even leeways that we give them, they still don't. Some of them still refuse to. They feel okay, at the end of the day, they'll pay a fine and we'll let them go.
All right. Okay. So are we thinking now? Perhaps is the state thinking of more harsh? Much more harsh.
No, the state is not thinking of more harsh. The state is going to do more harsh. No, because if you talk to someone repeatedly and it's falling on deaf ears and occurrences keep occurring, you have to take drastic actions to bring the message through.
Right. All right. Let's just leave the articulated vehicles a bit and talk about the conventional vehicles in terms of enforcement. What have you noticed? Is there any improvement in what they've been doing in relation with the traffic law?
There's some improvement. But Victor, I have to tell you this: in any society, the improvement you're looking for will only come in with the right amount of force. Some people believe laws are meant to be broken, and it's a catch me if you can kind of thing. It's very unfortunate, but that's the scenario that we find ourselves in.
Right.
So we just have to enforce the laws that are. That's why we have those laws.
Right. Now, the last time you were here, and of course, severally, you talked about the use of technology in bringing about this enforcement. How far is that going, by the way?
It's going really well. We are going to ramp up the technology aspect of it. But let me be clear about it. It's not ramping up the technology that's the problem. It's people complying willingly. You know, it's one thing for technology to scan the roads and say, okay, this one is not good, this one is not good. And then we cannot find the owner, or they are being dodgy and don't want to comply. You send them notices, you serve them, and they don't respond. So, and when we finally apprehend them, they make all sorts of excuses. I've heard them all. There's no excuse that's new. But you just try to educate at the time it's being made. You know, who's telling a lie? Not that I'm really interested in it.
All right.
If you fall foul of the law, I will dish out the penalty that is applicable to you.
Right. Now, you just said voluntary compliance, but some people will argue that for anyone to comply voluntarily, then enforcement must be very, very strong. So if the enforcement is not there, then voluntary compliance will not be there too.
But here's the thing. We like to have our cake and eat it too. When you start with strong enforcement, it's the same people that will start crying, oh, VIO is too hard, it's too harsh. Some people like it, some people don't. You know, majority of people think they would just rather us we fade into oblivion and let them do whatever it is they want to do. And that has happened in the past, and it hasn't solved anything. Okay, it hasn't solved anything.
Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM, still on your side mirror this great Tuesday morning, and we're looking at enforcement of trucks and articulated vehicles, the Vehicle Inspection Service angle. That's our focus. My guest this morning, Engineer Akin George Fashola. He's Director of Vehicle Inspection Service, Lagos. It's time for us to expand the conversation beyond the studios and to have your own input as well, even as you drive along this morning. 0809 912-0777 is the numbers that you can reach us on the program this morning. That's 0809-912-0777. Talk to me. Hello there.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Very good. Please turn down the volume of that radio.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
What's your name, sir?
This is Dukwe speaking.
Dukwe.
That's right.
The first time I'm having a man bearing a female name.
It's a beautiful name.
It is. My wife is Dukwe.
Oh, thank you, then. You're welcome.
Right.
I want to appreciate Mr. Fashola for what he has just said and the explanations. Two things I want to bring out. He talks about the laws and the collaborations which they're having, in which other people can come from other states, have their papers in place, and then they come into Lagos and the vehicles are rickety. When you want to enforce that, aren't you going to create a problem? Somebody's going to go to court one day and say, the federal law says I can take my papers in Kano, I can drive to Lagos, and you cannot stop me or impound my vehicle. And so they need to have a collaboration whereby the state's laws have its own distinctions. And then in collaboration with the federal, that when you come into a territory, you have to obey the rules and the laws of that territory and make it work. When it also comes to enforcement, I want them to have a way by which you enforce those things, because like I said, there are a lot of people who take the laws into their hands because there are no consequence management. And somebody will do it and he will call a big man and they'll say, release those trucks to them. These are boys. NURT will come. Oluomo will come with his own set of people. Everybody will come and they will do all that they like. So they really need to sit down and look at those aspects. That where does the law of Lagos State, where is your limit to what extent can you take it to? And then do you have a law that will back you up that when you begin to do these things, nobody can take you to court and win you over? Because if somebody can take you to court and defeat you, then you would have a series of other such things coming up. It has happened to last now over a number of times. And it will keep on happening because they have not yet perfected the law that ensures that once there's an enforcement, the law backs you up to the end. And nobody can reverse such things. So I really want them to look into that. And then thereafter, I believe when people are held responsible for what they do without having to, even when they are fined, they let them make the fines very heavy. If you know that you're going to pay an heavy fine, I'm sure people will resist from doing what is wrong. Thank you very much and have a blessed day.
Have a blessed day too.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, he's hit the nail on the head. How can Lagos partner with other states to ensure that the standards of those vehicles coming into Lagos can be of agreeable levels? Talk to me. Good morning. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Yes, sir.
What's your name, sir?
Oluwaluko is my name. I'm calling from Maryland in Ikeja.
All right, go ahead, Oluwaluko.
I'm so glad you brought Mr. Fashola to the
Studio.
to the table this morning.
All right.
Actually, on the trucks, I drove out of my house around 5 this morning, and I saw a truck along the Kurudu Road, precisely by Maryland. No headlamps on, no brake light, nothing. And they've always been like that. The ones that they will have this single light on top of their something as if it's an Okada or something. And once or twice I've tried to apprehend, because I am a special marshal. I've tried to apprehend one or two of these people. The first thing they will show to you is their roadworthiness and all those things. Where do they get these papers from? Why are the people inspecting those vehicles and giving them those roadworthiness things? I'm glad they said they want to start enforcing something. Those trucks will not comply until there's very strong punitive measures to really curtail them. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And sorry, Mr. Sally.
Yes.
I dropped a note for you, and I'm following it up, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. I'll get back to you then. Thank you so much for that. We're moving on. Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM 0809 912 0777. We're talking enforcement this morning, but looking at a set of vehicles, trucks. What's your own take on this? Talk to me. Hello there. Hello. All right. Hello there. All right. It's a bad connection. We'll try to see how we clean that up. 0809 912 0777. What bold interface can the Lagos State government take to ensure that trucks that are coming into Lagos meet the standard? Talk to me. Hello there.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. What's your name?
Yeah, my name is Beji Komolu Johnson.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Lekki, Lagos.
All right. So let's have your take on this subject.
Okay. I thank Mr. Fashola for all the things he has said and how he has brought up the issue. You know, I think our road is in a utter mess, you know, partly because of all these articulated vehicles, which should probably be on rail or on something, you know. And the main point that he has said, apart from the laws, apart from everything, is our personal responsibility and how we take them in Lagos and in Nigeria. If the owner of the vehicle knows, or the driver knows, that my vehicle being on the road is a risk to another life, it could kill someone, it could do this, like the last caller said. How can an articulated vehicle be going in the night without light? Without brake lights? You don't know what is ahead of you. When they break down, let's see caution, no nothing. You know? So I think there needs to be enlightenment, a lot of education on how we handle our lives and how we do ourselves in this part of the world. Because it's a lot about personal responsibility. Why would I put a 30-ton vehicle on the road that could kill people and cause so many damage to lives and property? Why would I have my tanker catching fire and all the aerosol incidents we have on the road? You know? So I think it's we as a people, you know, we need to look inwards, we need to change ourselves. There's so much Mr. Fashola and his team can do, you know, and the laws are not also in sync, you know. So Anybody can call Mr. Fashola's boss if Mr. Fashola arrests anybody, and we have orders from the top. Release that vehicle. The guy is my friend. You know, so those are the situations that arms us up. You know? So each citizen has to see that what is my part in this thing? Am I a problem or I'm part of the solution?
All right.
So that's my take.
All right, then thank you very much, Deji Kubuli Johnson, for your thoughts. How can we eliminate the Nigerian factor, so to say, which I hate to use that expression, but how can we eliminate that when enforcement is being carried out? He just said something now. A lot of times you could have buses and buses from everywhere, Abuja, you know, calling the enforcement agency to say, look, please release this. Even though there is a contravention, you get people getting away with that. So how can we eliminate that? Because if you have a situation whereby articulated vehicles, they are containers not properly latched, falling over cars, killing people, and then we still condone that, like somebody said, then something is wrong somewhere. All right, but I'll still allow you to react. Before I get back to Fashola, let's take some more calls. 0809-912-0777. Enforcement of articulated vehicles in Lagos is what we're looking at, and we're looking at it from the perspective of the Vehicle Inspection Service. What else do you think the VIS can do to ensure that these enforcements are complied with, and then to take it to the next level so that we do not have this kind of accidents happening on our roads anymore? What are your thoughts in that regard? You can share that with us as well. I'll put it on social media. We'll get to it very, very shortly. But let's take this one first. Hello there.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is David.
David, where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm in Korodu.
All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to point out something. Beyond trucks, even the light duty vehicles. If your vehicle, the state of our roads that these vehicles fly also matter a lot. If your vehicle has been roadworthy before you took it off the house and you are driving to a luxury center, I'm telling you, most times before you get there, that vehicle will become unworthy. Based on the issues it says on the roads.
Okay.
So a lot needs to be done on the roads. To look at the heavy duty trucks, 15 ton, 20 ton, they are doing a lot to move those things on the roads. The state of our roads are not
anything's right. All right.
Yeah, that's my point. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So, in consideration of that, let me get back to you then, Fashola. When you guys issue roadworthiness certificates, do you really inspect those vehicles?
Yes, we do. It's in two parts. Okay, so which I'm considering reevaluating. It's in two parts, you know. So we do fleet inspections and we do other ones. The fleet inspections, so we go and inspect. We go to their sites, we go to their offices, they produce the vehicles, or like I said before, some of them have the facility to inspect their own vehicles and they invite us to verify what it is that they've done. Now the other ones that don't have those facilities, they usually bring the vehicles and they go to the light fee centers. Or we are in a program now where we want to go to the parks that they are domiciled in and go and physically inspect them, although that has limitations in terms of what we can effectively do. But at least it's a step in the right direction in identifying trucks that are marginally acceptable.
Okay. Let's talk about the guy from Maryland. Ulu Aluku was talking about a truck which he saw in the early hours, driving with no headlights, you know, most of the essentials that are needed for an articulated vehicle of that nature.
Okay, so that is also part of the problem, and this is one of the things that we are looking into to adjusting ourselves as the vehicle inspection service. Now, most people know that come 6 o'clock, VI is off the road, so they are at liberty to do whatever they want. That's where the personal responsibility goes out the window, because they know who's going to stop me.
All right.
But we're going to look to change that.
Right. And that's why I want to come in. So is that a constraint? Is the state not considering perhaps extending those times.
Absolutely, we are working out the rudiments of that aspect, and we will circumvent that as best as we can. But then you also need to think or consider something. At night, the risk to an officer triples.
Okay. It's higher.
Extremely high. It's high during the day, but it's extremely high at night. Now, when you have an irresponsible driver who knows fully well that what he is doing is against the law and is also endangering the lives of others,
he would ready to kill.
You think he wants to stop?
Okay.
He doesn't want to stop.
Yeah, but I'm sure that there must be ways enforcement will still be carried out, no matter what. If we have all that is necessary to carry it out.
Okay, so yes, there are ways, because if we restrict their routes where they can go, even from where they carry the stuff from the port, you can only take this way. And if going that way, you have to pass through us. And then we will see how you want to circumvent that.
All right, then Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. A brief break, 1 or 2 messages. We'll be back. Still talking enforcement of trucks and articulated vehicles. And the director of VIS in the building, Engineer Akin George Fashola. We will be back. Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM 0809-912-0777. That's the number so you can connect with us even as we continue this conversation. What are you thinking? What's your thought in this? How do you think we can resolve all of these that relates to truck enforcement? Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Victor.
All right, who am I speaking with?
Comrade Daniel.
Hey, Comrade Daniel, how are you doing?
I'm good, Victor.
All right, and happy birthday to Daniela Onobume.
Thank you very much, Victor.
All right. So let's have your take on this particular subject matter.
Yes, good morning, Akin Fashola Judge.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah, we're talking about this articulated vehicle on the road. In fact, those vehicles are dangerous species. I will describe them. The fact is that what government should do is just enforcement. Enforcement. If it is possible, whether they are coming from other states or not, they get to know that once they are coming to Lagos, Lagos is a place that there is a law.
Okay.
Of any reckless driving or any rickety articulated vehicles. The fact is that these trucks move in the evening period and at night. Look at what happened at the last that young Chidima that was, life was cut short, like funny container. It's sudden. What we need to do is that, what government needs to do that, they should set up what we call a traffic strike force that will comprise the VIS, the road safety, LASMA, and of course our neighboring state here, which is the trace monitors.
Okay.
That will ensure with even a mobile court that anyone found that a vehicle that is found not roadworthy, the driver, some of them are under drug, influence, alcohol and whatever.
Yes,
that is the bottom
absolutely.
line. They should be tested, and this vehicle, if they find not roadworthy, they should be arrested and, charged to court immediately.
Okay.
I think this will send signals to owners of these vehicles. Because we find this vehicle, you discover that some of their tires are worn out, even the chassis are bad. And you see, you'll be wondering where there's no law in this country. So, really, I would advise government to do something about it. That strike force is purposely for chasing at the recorded vehicle within the Lagos metropolis.
Okay.
If possible, beyond.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Daniel, regular contributor to the program, and he's suggesting a strike force, a traffic strike force, as the case may be, TSF. All right, let's see how that pans out in the days to come. I would like to go to have something in that regard. Let's take some more calls from you. Hello there, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Victor.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Louis, calling from Apapa.
Nice to hear from Louis.
Thank you so much, sir. Really, I'm a professional driver.
Okay.
Every single day, I'm on the road and I see these guys. I believe the problem is not these drivers, but the government who are to enforce these laws.
Why do you say that?
Beautiful. At times, when you are descending into the port, you see trucks with worn out tires, bad chassis going in there, and people will put containers on them, seeing those things. I believe they should put task force at the point of entry that monitors the trucks that really come in.
Okay.
Because if a truck wants to come in and is not roadworthy, and you return that truck back to wherever it's coming from, every other truck will take a caution that they can't get in if these trucks are not properly fixed.
Okay. Beautiful suggestion.
So that's my suggestion. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you so much. So let's get back to that, Akin George Fashola. So, do you have your men stationed at the ports, for instance, at the entry of the ports to certify this? What you just mentioned now.
We're not allowed to do that. The port is federal territory. We're not allowed to do that, and we are currently in discussion with the port authorities to find a way around that. Now, let me address what he just said. Some of it is true. Some of it is also
not very correct.
Not very correct. Because what it is, the port right now has critical measures that they adhere to if you want to load a container at the port. Okay, so it's guidelines for safety protocol that they follow. So once they allow you to come in, you load and you go out. Now let me tell you some of the things that happen. I'll give you a scenario. I have a bad truck. I know I cannot meet the criteria of the port. I can't. I will fail. They will not let me in. So I'll come to you. Victor, how are you? You have a nice truck now. You meet all the criteria of the port.
All right.
I'll give you some money. Go and collect that container for me and just bring it out.
So that we can now translate it into your own
Into my own.
You mean that happens? That's interesting. All right. So these are some of the shortcuts that people take just to circumvent
the law,
which is quite unfortunate. But let's quickly talk about this and take this home this morning. What's the next thing that you guys are going to be doing right now, and how long is this enforcement going to take?
This enforcement will take as long as it needs to take. There is no time limit.
Okay.
You want to operate in Lagos State, I don't care where you come from. You don't show me what I need to see, we're going to have issues.
What about compromise from your men? Have you thought about that?
Compromise? What compromise? If you have any compromise, bring it to me. I want to see it.
Okay.
It's one thing to say something. You show it to me.
Okay, so if you find any infractions out there that involves your men...
Bring it to me. I always give my telephone number on every program. Bring it to me.
All right, so you can give that telephone number right now, quickly.
If you're not afraid and you are sure of what you're saying, call me to tell me. The number is 080-9076-0336. I will repeat it. 080-9076-0336. But I must tell you, it's not always practicable for me to answer phone calls. Just send me a text.
Okay.
I will answer you.
Definitely. And that's what you've done, really, by coming on the program this morning. Engineer Akin George Fashola, nice having you in the building. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Victor.
Okay, so we've been trying to see how we dissect truck enforcement and, of course, enforcement of other articulated vehicles. And Akin George Fashola, the director of VIS, has been able to take us to the classroom as relates to this. All right, then, so you heard those numbers. Have any infractions or anything that relates to your own vehicle as well? And in terms of enforcement, you can send a text message to 080-9076-0336. But we have to go. Thank you so much.